What's going on? It never fails. Technical difficulties always happen. It's all part of doing, and then it helps to have your microphone near you so you can be heard. Hey, what's going on? It's Johnny on the spot. I'm Johnny Jalopy, hot rod artist. Good morning. Hey, Roland. What's going on? Hey, so we're supposed to start at 12:30 on the dot, and of course, technical difficulties. StreamYard's giving me trouble signing in, so it just never fails. No matter, sometimes no matter how much you try to get some stuff done, there's always going to be something that's going to try to keep you from at it, which means whatever we're talking about today must be good because you're going to get to hear some cool stuff. Today, on Johnny on the Spot, we talk Chrome and all things Chrome, mainly in the ideas of drawing, making, creating the resemblance of what Chrome looks like in real life. That's what's the fun part of doing hot rod art is I really enjoy trying to make things look like Chrome. So that's the topic of discussion today. We're gonna speak Chrome. Now, what I did is I downloaded. I tried to be a little more organized. It's episode 4, all things Chrome. Episode 8, I'm showing. Episode 4, all things Chrome. So the idea of today is we're going to do just like the other day when we were talking just about sketching, is we're going to kind of keep it simple and talk about it. I'm going to, again, reflect back to this really cool book, the Tom Taylor book, because it has actually a section. Whoops. Click over to it. No, just one. There we go. It has a really cool section that talks just about Chrome. And really, this front cover is a good representation of just what it's like, especially on white paper. Challenge to create Chrome and the looks of Chrome and reflection and that kind of stuff. There's actually a really great, which we'll go into in a smidge. There's a great section that talks about reflections and shadows. And so we'll discuss that a little bit because I think it's important to understand that you can still create a Chrome look even in black and white, how did I miss this side view when we were talking about side views yesterday? Unbelievable, Johnny. Great job of prepping for a show. Here's a great example of a side view, like a phenomenal example. So before we get into this, what I wanted to do was do a little visual journey and share with you some of my favorite artists that inspired me to want to create Chrome as cool as possible. And one of my, as I was getting into learning and drawing hot rods, let's see if this is going to work, and hopefully everything still continues. One of my most favorite artists, and he's actually been a little more quiet. He was very, very back in the days of the ham and stuff. He was always posting. I don't know why I'm using this because it doesn't work. Let me set this aside. Unbelievable. Super prepared. That's going to hurt to have to pick that up later. So one of my most favorite artists who posted art all the time, and I don't see his art as much. So I know he's still creating art. And I know he's, still doing really amazing work. He's been one of my most favorite guys. And his artist name was Zombie. And Scott Stevens is his real name. But he would go, his art name was Zombie. And Zombie did, he worked mostly on black paper. And actually pictures of this guy he would draw lay on his stomach on the floor. I don't know how his back's not all jacked up after years of doing it this way. I think he tattoos now as well. But just one of the guys I really looked up to as I was getting into automotive art and trying to do it on a different level. And he was one of the guys. So what I wanted to do was just kind of share, because I think he's the first guy that I was like, man, the way he does Chrome is unbelievable. So I'm going to pull up one of my favorite photos that shows what he does as far as recreating Chrome. So again, black backgrounds. I think he captures light like nobody else. He's a one of a kind, and he just will always still be, regardless whether he still is or isn't doing, I think he still is. One of my most favorite artists is Zombie. And if you look at how he creates chrome, now he doesn't go crazy with color choices as far as his chrome. Like there's not a lot of browns and pinks and purples and different things like that. Keeps it very simplistic. And when I say simplistic, I mean by no means simple, because there is so much going on in the reflection of what he's got going. But it makes sense to why it's the tones in which he uses, because he's using black paper. He's really keeping the reflection of the van there and the wheels and all that stuff true to how we're to create reflection. So keep this in mind as how chrome looks. And then let's go to this Tom Taylor book again, and we're going to look at how reflection works, right? And again, I hope this may sound stupid to some of you guys that maybe already know how to do chrome and things like that, but this is for somebody who's just starting out, and maybe you don't understand, or you're trying to figure out how are these guys doing chrome. So there's some stuff to it. Like for instance, the curvatures like on the side of a body, and it's basically how light will reflect on that curve. So according to this, and hopefully you can see this, and if not, maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. Let me try that. Adjust it. There we go. So on this, it says the lightest of sky is the very peak of like a body you'd see, and then medium values as you get to the arc, you'd see some horizon and horizon colors, and then definitely a reflection of the ground. So the light is bouncing off the ground and reflects that light into the body of the car. Same thing goes with chrome, is these values work in the same ways. We'll go to the next page, which it really explains as you're going like into like this picture here. So again, using the color tones, you can see the lightest of tones, right? The sky itself. And that's on the very peak is the lightest. But then as you get into this just below the peak, it gets darker, and then it starts to get lighter as you go into the horizon. And then you see the horizon, which you'll have a reflection of the horizon. And you really won't see what is in the horizon. You will see shadow reflection. There's no detail. And maybe in some things you would see up close, like if a person was standing there, you might see a person or other cars reflecting in the chrome itself. And then depending upon where the car is sitting, you'll get this ground tone. And this one would be like if it was sitting in a sandy gravel, like somewhere there's brown. Now, if we were parked in the grass, you'd see green tones here. And I've actually seen where sometimes you'll get some secondary reflection of the sky popping back up as well off of other things, which is kind of what is represented in these other deals over here, is the way this all reflects. The light is reflecting. Is everybody getting anything out of this? Hey, Stephen Taylor, Rob, how's it going from Arkansas? Philip, what's going on? I've been talking to my tattoo guy about doing from way back. Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that was a fun one on Sketchy Live. And here's if it was chrome. So we've got sky reflection into tan. Now, when guys create chrome, like when you look at like a lot of motorcycle artists and stuff, when they're putting like the vehicle or a bike, or you'll have like the gravel reflection, or those, just to make it interesting, they'll add, sometimes when people are just making faux chrome letters, they always consistently make the blues, whites, and then this tan color. The fun thing is, if we go back to this zombie picture, the reflection of the light, right? Now we're thinking of a chrome wheel, for instance. If you look at the very top of the wheel, it says the sky is reflected, right? Well, in a wheel, it's different, and we're going to go back to why is zombie putting black on top and the sky on the bottom, when what we just saw reflecting on a cylinder, it's usually sky on top, ground on bottom. It's because the dish of the wheel reflects the reverse of that. Where if you notice in the actual inset of the wheel there on Zombie's van, especially look at that front tire, there is reflection of the sky from the top, and then the ground is reflecting on the bottom. But on that deeper dish wheel in the back, it's the reverse. So Chrome will do that too. So you have to keep that in mind as you're like if you're creating wheels. So we're going to go back to this reference thing here, Tom's, right? So in a wheel, sometimes you can get a different style of reflection. So the high points, we're getting some ground reflection on the top of a wheel. And then the horizon is always the way the horizon is. And then sometimes we'll get a lot of the reverse of what this is happening here in a wheel. And a lot of times when people are drawing or trying to create shapes and things like that, or trying to create what looks like chrome in their first times of trying to do chrome, they'll get that messed up, and they're like, why doesn't it look right? And again, it's just learning the reflection of it. How do we learn? What's the best way to learn true reflection is in real pictures. So let me see. I think I have a picture of an actual real car with some chrome wheels on it. Let me see if I can find it. Yep. So we can have that as a reference of what does chrome look like in real life. So I pulled up this Tweety Pie. I think it's a clone of Tweety Pie, but I don't think it's a real Tweety Pie. Now let's just look at wheels for right now, just the wheels itself. And if you look at the moon discs in the center, what do you see reflection light of? Do you see the blue tones? But then if you look directly up from that, which is the inner lip of that wheel, it's reflecting the ground, the gray tones in the ground. And in the dish itself, the moon dish, it is doing what this Tom Taylor book said it does, light does, right? We've got sky up top, horizon line, and then the gray tones of the ground. But in the actual ring around the rim, it's reversed. So think about that when you're drawing your wheels and your discs and stuff like that. You have to keep that in mind, that there are two surfaces in a wheel that are reflecting light. But just like that, even in look at the lights on the top of a light, which is, you notice when I do cartoon ones, I really black these out because it's reflecting the ground light, and then the top light is coming in, it's reflecting what is it reflecting? It is reflecting the skylight. If we look at the brake disc, or the brake covers, drum covers that are chromed out here, we're getting reflection, real deep blues almost towards the bottom of that brake piece, and then we're getting black tones on the top of it. And that's because, again, it is a reflective circle with some different surfaces on it, and some of it is picking up the sky on the bottom of it, and some of it is picking the ground on the top of it. So these are just things you have to keep in mind as you're trying to recreate chrome. Same things in the reflections as we're going up into the pillars of even the way the window trim is being held on. So let's go back to Zombie's picture. So if we look at all the reflective pieces and the way he's done his wheels, he is following those rules to the T. And he's also, in the way light is bouncing off the vehicle, we're not seeing specific horizon lines, but we can definitely see tonal differences in even the way he's created the paint. But we're sticking to mostly the chrome itself. So look at the front bumper. It's awesome because he hasn't specifically made a black tone in the chrome. It almost looks like a purpley color that he's added here, just because black is not going to be very interesting. And realistically, if we look at the tones in the dishes of those back rims, those aren't really black either. I bet there's some sort of a purple. They look very similar to some of the dark purples that are in the paint job, and I bet he's playing around with that. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm seeing. Okay, let's go to another one of my favorite artists that has done the same. Actually, I'm going to throw a couple more zombie up here, but I just want you to see, this is why this guy was my favorite, because his chrome is just unbelievable, and just the way he creates color and light. So let's look at reflectives on that. I'm seeing, hey, looks like the reflective is the same as the concave. Yep, I agree. Hey, your three-legged dog. Thanks, man. I appreciate that you're digging the content. And yes, for sure, for sure. Great comments, guys. Thanks for chiming in. This is awesome. So in the zombie picture here, again, looking at these chrome pieces, he's following all, again, we've got a bunch of different reflective pieces here in the way the wheels are designed. We've got this triangular spinner kind of thing that's on the outside of these really cool hubcaps. And he's capturing the light in specific ways. But tonally, we've got some sky representations on from top pieces. Because this one protrudes a little bit, it makes sense that he's showing more of the sky tones than he is the earth tones. Do you see what I'm saying? But just look at the way he captures chrome. That's why he was one of my still is one of my most favorite guys to create chrome. Now, let's go to another person that I think is an amazing at recreating chrome, and that is that is Von Franco. Von Franco uses the traditional because he does a lot of airbrush and different things like that. So he's really trying to capture the way tones and different things work on, following all the specific rules of chrome to the T. And tell me if like those things look so buttery and so just like you could stick your hands and like they look so liquid, the way the chrome on the wheels are, the chrome on the exhaust headers coming off, even the chrome reflections on the valve cover, the intake, those really cool air intakes that are there. Again, zombie Von Franco, the way he captures light and the way his colors are so bright is just why he's, again, one of my most favorite artists. And really, he's the person that made me like bright colors, Johnny. Pick bright color, do bright colors. Following, in the way he creates stuff, it was so inspiring. But again, if you look at following the rules, we've got in the center deep dishes, we've got reflection of light from the sky. And then we've got this beautiful orange color, which is reflecting light off of the fire coming off the exhaust. He's creating coolness because really, realistically, there is some orange tones up here in the front, but he's added almost a tone red and an orange just to make it even more interesting and really move your eye from the back wheel, pops your eye to the left or to the right, to the front wheel, up into the tonal colors of the red, tubes that are feeding into the carburetors, back over to the red off of the pinstriping brush, back into the purples and the light blues, and then back into the deep purples and reflective, awesome metallic color and the purples in the car. Then this beautiful green color around. So it just Von Franco stuff is so cool. I could just geek out on him. I could just stare at his stuff for hours and just looking at what is he doing here. And we're just looking at the tones. We're not even talking about the highlights that he's added. Look at the amount of reflective highlights that just look so real and so deep and so rich. It is amazing. Von Franco stuff is just so cool. Now, have I done the same thing with what the stuff I do? Let's take a look and see am I following the same rules in some of the artwork I've done. Again, those are my two heroes. And as I'm creating art, I'm hoping that I've fallen in the same footsteps of. So we've got reflective chrome all over the place here. And I've got, good bright lights. I've got some blue tones from the top pieces, some blue tones on the top pieces of the interior parts of it. A little bit, I'm playing around because the background is a little bit of a tan color. So I've got a little tan up on top, a little bit reflecting back down on the bottom. And I've done this other interesting thing that one of my other favorite artists does a lot. And I love it. It just makes me go, oh, I just love that. And his name is Jeff Norwell. And Jeff Norwell throws sometimes some purples, even though there is no purple in anything that's around. He throws a little hint of purple, violet, and it just makes the chrome look. It just gives us this extra splash of color that makes no sense why it's there, but it just add something. He'll sometimes even put some of that purple reflection on tires, and I just love it. So I'm trying to give nod to all my favorite Zombie, Von Franco, Jeff Norwell, just to name a few. That trying to do it that way. So I hope you're seeing what I'm seeing. And again, back to Chrome and reality, right? Versus Chrome done digitally. Are we following the rules? I think we are. I think we're doing a pretty good job of it. We're just talking about Chrome. Let's see what we got here. Roland, let's see. Would like to try it on a 3/4 inch runner. Yeah, doing models. I imagine, because again, you're building models with some sort of a chrome pieces. So realistically, they should reflect light the way they're supposed to, which most of the time they do. And yeah, and in fact, I want to make sure this. I got to add this later. Where did it go? I had saved. So yesterday we talked about, hey, if you're doing some art, make sure you send it to me. And what the heck happened to it? There we go. It's there. Sorry to interrupt what we're doing here. Train of thought. It just made me think about, I had, told people if as they're working on some of their art and stuff to definitely send it to me. And I would love to share it. And this is one of the things I would like to share, because I think we're hitting all some fun stuff from yesterday. So I'll be sharing this here in just a sec. But back to this. Purple is really makes it pop. Yes, I agree, Phil. It just adds a little something, right? So let's go to the next. The interesting thing is sometimes, I'll remove this. So how do you create Chrome when it's not color? Like, here's a few more artist examples. Jeff Norwell. So I was talking about the purples in the tires reflection. Subtle in the way he does his Chrome. Subtle. Not way over the top, huge reflections and stuff. But just, he's another guy that I love the way he does Chrome, and I love the way he utilizes light as too. It's really cool. Jeff's work is phenomenal. So that's one of my other favorite guys. Let me show you. Ben Dragdaddy is another person that I think does, in his cartoony stuff, is another person I looked up to as far as an artist. And look at how Ben's grabbing Chrome. We've got the white highlights up on the top. We've got reflection from the bottom. We're following all the rules here, but just added variations of color just to make it interesting too. That's the fun of doing and making Chrome as you're drawing, and challenging on white, to be honest. Because you've got to really start, flooding in the tones of like the grays and different things just to get reflective things you can play with the whites and the different colors off of without making it look muddy. And his definitely doesn't look muddy here. And great splashes of Ben Dragdaddy stuff is so vibrant and bright. And I just love, and I want to say, and I could be wrong, and if he was to ever hear that maybe he would remind me. But I think most of the colors he uses is a lot of he used to use like strictly like Crayola markers because they're so bright. Yeah, but I think he uses other different brands as well. But to get a lot of these really rich, bright tones, I think he does a lot of Crayola too, which I've tried it and I just can't seem to get it to work like he does. So kudos to him, because he's one of a kind for sure. So there's that. Let's go to this. And then we're going to get into what we can't forget this guy, right? When it comes to Chrome, Keith Wiesner also is another phenomenal artist. We all know and respect his work. He's another guy that just the way he does Chrome and the light reflection and light all the way he does, even shadow is just epic. But he is like, look at the richness of the chrome in that front wheel and in the engine, but super subtle, not over the top as far as his reflective light. Like the white areas aren't over the top, very subtle. And again, goofballs like me generally probably do way too much reflection, but I'm chasing like Von Franco. Like his are just so, man, they're just so cool, and I'm always trying to emulate like how he does his chrome. But there's the subtle versions, and again, Zombies is super just in control, all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Philip says, my son Benjamin and I want to get one. Where do I get a learn how to draw? I've seen, pretty sure you can get this on Amazon. And I also want to say, I believe just like Books A Million and stuff, I think is where I bought this one. This is where I think I bought it, but usually they're on Amazon. A lot of these are unfortunately they're not cheap, but really good books, and they're great. Really good stuff. And if you can find this book too, I don't have, How to Draw Cars by George Trossley. That's a great book too. George Trossley is one of my favorite artists from Cartoons Magazine back in the day. He's the original How to Draw Cars guy. And he has his own books on how to draw cars. And if I was going to recommend a book, I'd also recommend that book. So the interesting thing is, so that's all good with color and tan tone paper, Johnny, and black color paper. You're getting all these cool reflections and da-da-da. How do you do it in black and white? Well, here's a representation of Franco doing chrome in black and white. There's still reflection there. There's still tonal differences, but it's all created with where he's placing black, the darkest blacks, mediums, and then white. And I'm sure he's going back in because the white is much wider than the paper white. So that's another little technique, is adding white. I use my gel pen. I know Drag Daddy uses a whiteout like marker to add extra whites. Let's see. Let's go to this is a zombie black and white, and he's still creating amazing chrome. Look at the chrome on the reflection on those wheels and on the exhaust pipe, and even on the edge and in the reflective chrome in the lights. And that's really like three tones: white, black, and either stippling to make it look like a grayish tone, or he's actually using some sort of a lighter black there. But it's achievable too, even in black and white. Are you guys finding this interesting at all? I hope it's helping. We do a lot of rust on models. Yes, patina's fun to do. Rust is a whole nother deal. So with this being said, I thought it'd be interesting if we, go, and I'll actually, we kind of did a little bit of it on our drawing from the other day, yesterday, some chromes, playing around with chrome. Come on, there we go. I thought we did a little bit of that yesterday, but I thought we would do like just a real quick live, let's draw like a chrome wheel first. We'll draw a chrome wheel just so you can see how's the process in true time, right? So if I was drawing, and again, we may just end up drawing a car with this because I'd hate to waste the paper. So we're going to draw. Oh, no erasing. We're not going to erase. We're going to draw a front wheel. Okay. So if I was doing a drawing of a car, this is what I would end up doing. I've got two tones. I've got my most darkest tone and then a mid tone for markers, right? Then I'm going to try to grab my darkest blue color pencil, and then a light two-tone of the two blues. Okay. I'm also going to grab my white gel pen. I'm just showing you the tools we're going to use to create the chrome. And we're going to grab a white pencil as well. So we've got 3 tones there that we're going to use. And again, I might, just for fun, if it's fun, we might add a little bit of purple in there just to see what happens as we go. Do I want anything else? I think we can do it with that. Okay. So what I'm going to use to do our outline is I'm going to first lay down the wheel itself. Hopefully you can see that. And again, we're just going to do like it's a steel wheel. I did this yesterday, and I know it's almost repetitive, but this is the fun part. And usually a steel wheel has like a little ring that usually would hold the hubcap, right? And then there's the outer lip of the rim, and then our wheel itself. Whoops, that's really bad. Maybe a little warm-up drawing before you started, Johnny? Nah, let's go right into it. Okay, so we're seeing that. So if I was drawing this now, if I was just doing black and white, I'd start shading in the darkest parts, which are going to be hidden underneath the lip of the wheel. Again, we're doing this in 2-dimension, and then I'll try to do a 3-dimensional one too. We'll do 2-dimensional first, and then 3-dimensional. So the first thing I would do is I'd lay down. Well, we'll put our tire in. I don't know why I grabbed chisel side first, because I don't like usually using chisel. Even when I'm doing this, like this lip part, I'm trying to leave spots on the edges that are the tan tone, because I might want to add white there, and it's less, it'll be hopefully a little brighter. Okay, so there's that. There's our black. Then I'm going to color the whole inside of it gray. And then I'm going to take my blue tone. All right, hopefully I'm going to follow the rules correctly here. And the areas that would be hitting light with blue are the top pieces of the parts protruding out. And then I'm going to cheat, and that would be where this part's reflecting some of the ground, the interior part of the wheel. Oops, wrong one, wrong side. This is protruding some of it's the lowest part of this. So light's coming this way. And then I'm going to lightly bring that blue in there, because I'm making one tone of blue. And I could kind of cheat if I had I do have a gray. I do have like a gray color. Ooh, my pencil sharpener broke open. Great. Okay. Try not to be too heavy with this, especially since we're going to use this a lot. Because if you go all over all your white spots, especially the parts you really want to highlight with this, what you'll find is this gel will not play with this well. They don't like to share the same space. So all I'm trying to do is just make the blue tone a little brighter blue. And almost maybe kind of grayish. Right. Not doing dark blue yet, because I want to add that at the end. But it's already we're seeing some kind of reflective there. Oh, cool. Yeah, follow along. So are you seeing the gray tones, even though there was no gray laid down, except for that one part of gray? It's kind of in the background, but I'm trying to pull color out in brighter parts to make it look 3-dimensional. Okay, so I'm grabbing my gel pen now. And these are the spots. And I'm doing simple because this is two-dimensional. I'm just hitting the lug nuts, which would be chrome. The very ends of them would be shining chrome. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Oh, that's as far as I can go. Okay. And then the top part of the cap of the wheel. And then I'm going to do not the full rim, but mostly the bottom lip of the rim. And add some really brighter highlights there. Because light reflect. I'm imagining light coming this way. And then there's this part, which is the surround. Might have a little bit. And then I'm cheating by saying, oh, there's a little more light reflecting in there. Okay. Back with my darker blue. And there we go. Does it look like chrome? Anybody? Hopefully that looks like chrome to you. All right, let's go. Let's try the two-dimensional or three-dimensional looking wheel, right? Oh, I forgot. Let's add. So what was all about purple stuff? There's a little purple in it. Okay. So now we're drawing more of like a three-dimensional. Maybe it's like a torque thrust wheel or something. Right? Okay. Same thing. That was our darkest. I'm completely coloring it in with the gray. Right? My lighter. In fact, let me grab. I do have a third tone I like to use. It's almost a grayish. It's actually called sky blue, and it's very subtle, but actually a little more light, whitish color. But it lays on this tan and this gray tone I just laid down a little more like gray than it does blue. So there's our two tones there. We'll go to our white tone now. Okay, so there's our 3 tones there. To our gel pen, white gel pen. Yeah, you could do white letters too. Yeah, let me we'll try that after we'll do this part. So we got our chrome. Highlights. And a rule of thumb is usually if there's a reflection from the top part of the wheel, like I did over here, like here, there's usually a reflective little light splash directly across from it. So if I'm putting a little reflective light piece here, there should be one down here too. Okay. Our horizon line. I didn't do that on the other one. I forgot that part. And just think about, is there trees and stuff? So it may not be just this flat line, but all right. And then for the fun, we'll throw the little bit of purple in there. There you go. Does it look like a chrome wheel? Oh man, I hope you like that part. That was fun. So again, we could do white lettering, like B F good tire. Right. You could add white lettering or whatever you want to do to make it look like it. You could add the reflection of like say this is like a drag slick. Right. Yeah, you could do white lettering if you want to. We can add different little things to here. I always like to make like little tread. Again, this is more like a drag slick tire, so there'd be a little reflection off the top, a little shadow or whatever. But there you go. There's side view, 3/4 view. And again, the fun part is with this, the drawing part, you can get as crazy as you want. Like if I had, which I don't think I have with me, realistically, I would probably grab one of I do have a white acrylic marker, and I would probably add some white acrylic to this just to make these splashes a little bigger, just so the reflection looks a little more real. And again, you can keep playing around with it until you get to where you feel like you're really getting where the wheel looks like chrome. How sunny of a day is it? Like, is there a lot of light, blue light reflecting on like it's a real sunny day, so that the sky is clear. That's the thing. What element is the drawing of the car you're doing? Where's it at? There you go. Hope that looks like chrome. So I hope you got something out of that. And you learned something, and a real quick, how to draw and how to kind of make chrome. This is not the perfect solution. There are guys, if you really want, there's like Micah Doodles does a great job doing chrome. There's this one guy, gosh, what's his name? And I'm blanking on him. He does everything in Prismacolor pencils, and his chrome, unbelievable what he can do with chrome. It's sick how realistic his chrome looks just from color pencils. So yesterday I said, hey, if you're doing a drawing and you want to share, please share your art with me. So somebody did that. And let me go back to the original. And his name is Patrick. I'm going to mess up his name. Minarick. Sorry, Patrick. Anyways, this is his drawing, and I'm going to bring it in here and show you because I think it's a really cool piece of work. So, and this was all from, he was saying, hey, I was watching yesterday, and I thought it'd be cool to share. So he did a drawing after our little tutorial on just, having fun and doing a quick sketch, and here's his art. And I think he nails chrome pretty darn good. It's got the tan tones in there, and he's got definitely the sky reflections and stuff like that. If it were me, what I would have added is just a smidgen of green hidden in the chrome, because he's got this kind of grass area that he's going over the top of that hill. But really, that's the only thing I would maybe add to it, just to make the chrome feel a little realistic to what the environment is. But other than that, the chrome looks great, and the wheels look cool, and there's lots of motion in it, and just a really cool, fun side view vehicle. So great job, Patrick. Thanks for sharing that. So let's go back to me here. So there you go. There's a Johnny on the spot, how to do chrome. Hopefully you learned something. And again, check out those artists. Another great tip is go out, look at chrome in the real environment. I know you walk up to cars and you geek out and you go, oh man, it's so much cool chrome. And again, even those guys that were talking about patina, go look at chrome, what it looks like as it starts to rust, and how rust inhibits some of the reflection light, and how can you utilize and make things look rusty and some chrome too. So definitely go take a look at that. But go look at chrome out in your environment if you get an opportunity today, or look at some photos of chrome and just really study how that light is reflecting off of the chrome itself in different environments. Because again, remember, the rule is it's the sky tones and the ground tones. So if you've got a car that you're drawing and you've got it set in the grass, you want to probably have a little bit of green, not like heavy dark green, but there's going to be some reflection of green. Or it may be parked in the driveway, but there's some surrounding stuff that has, where light might be bouncing off, or it's next to another car, for instance. Like if, you can play around with kind of the fun of that is pretending there's a reflection off of a car sitting next to it. So it's got yellow in it for some reason. And why does it have yellow? Well, because the car next to it is yellow. And maybe you can almost draw a little bit of a shape of a different car reflecting, especially on like moon disc like wheels. You can play around with that kind of stuff. Again, if you want to see somebody who really does beautiful work in reflecting in paint, Ed Tilrock is a painter. I think he paints in oils and acrylics of automotive stuff. His reflection in automotive paint is unbelievable. Also another master of chrome as well. So definitely check out those artists. Zombie, check out his work. Yvonne Franco for some amazing chrome. Drag Daddy is another person that I would check out. Keith Wiesner, of course, amazing chrome work. Who did I leave out right there? Jeff Norwell, for sure. And there's a host of other artists that do chrome so well that I didn't mention. And, check out my stuff, johnjalopy.com. There's some cool stuff to look at there with art and things. And hopefully you enjoyed today's Johnny on the Spot. We talk all about Chrome. So I'd love it if you are practicing Chrome or do some drawings. Look at yesterday's episode where we talk about sketching 2D drawings. Take today's episode and put those two together, and boy, you could really have a really cool little drawing. And I would love it if you shared, just like Patrick did, and he shared his work, and I'm so grateful that he did. And Patrick, thanks for showing your work and allowing me to share it. God, there's so much coolness in that little drawing, and I love the Tantone. It's so much fun. I'm telling you, if you get an opportunity, go grab a piece of Tantone paper at your local place of fun. Did I just lose my mic? Hopefully not. Are we still all here? Let me check the regular feed. Okay. My computer starts making noise and I start thinking I'm losing stuff. So get out there, sketch some stuff, try out what you learned today. Hopefully it helped you. Please share with me, johnjalopy.com. You can find all my, send it to my social medias. Feel free. I would love to share your work on the show. And hopefully you got something from this. And it's just another fun Johnny on the Spot. If you have other things you'd like to learn more about, if you're on YouTube, please hit like and subscribe, but comment and let me know, hey, Johnny, can you do a thing about this? Or can you do a thing about that? I'd love to hit some of the things that maybe you're struggling with. And I probably have struggled with the same things, and I may not have the expert opinion on how to fix it or work through it, but I certainly would give a shot at, and I got to learn to do a better job of looking at you. I will do a better job of trying to explain things and stuff like that, to teach and show you different things. So looking forward to seeing you on the next Johnny on the Spot. I'm Johnny Jalopy, hot rod artist. JohnnyJalopy.com. And don't forget to just stay sketchy, guys. We'll see you again real soon. Peace. And stream.